Cochineal cactus. The cochineal cactus. The cochineal cactus. But this is the African candelabra. So we're going to talk about the cochineal cactus today, found in Nigeria as an indoor plant. This is it. So let me just take it inside. That's it. Oh, a bit of it got cut off and it's growing. Wow. I'm going to plant it and it's going to grow. Because it has been growing here. Oh. Okay. This is it. Wow. So, we are going to discuss the cochineal cactus, found as an indoor plant in northern Nigeria. Isn't it pretty? This is the new growth. Sometimes some people call it the prickly pear. Can you see the prickles? So pretty, right? This is the cochineal cactus. Magnificent and beautiful. This is not a cochineal cactus. This is actually an African candelabra. This one that I'm pointing at. It is actually an African candelabra plant. It is different from these other plants you're seeing, because these are the cochineal cactus, found in my indoor garden in northern Nigeria. Pretty, 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 right? All right, so let me tell you more about this pretty plant that I got from my friend, actually, from a friend's house. The African version, what should I say? The cochineal plant found in northern Nigeria. So, as you look at this plant, what do you think? Do you think it's a pretty plant? Do you think it's an ugly plant? I think it is a very, very pretty plant. And that was what drew me to this beautiful plant. I knew I needed to have it in my indoor garden, but I didn't know whether it was going to grow like this, because I only got this part. I just planted this part, you can see. I planted this part without these youngsters. I planted that part without this youngster that sprouted. Can you see that? So I planted this alone, the cochineal cactus, planted this alone, and I got this one. I got the baby, and then the baby had another baby. Isn't that pretty? This was the mother, this is the baby, and the grandbaby. And you can see that there'll soon be another great grandbaby growing from this top, from the cochineal cactus. So mother, baby, soon there'll be another baby at the top here. Very pretty, right? So you can see that unlike the African candelabra, this African candelabra has been in this pot for ages, but it refused to grow. So since it refused to grow for over a year, I decided to add this cochineal cactus that I got from my friend's house in the pot, in the same pot as the African candelabra. And guess what? The cochineal cactus has had babies and grandbabies. Can you see? Mother, baby, grandbaby. Soon going to have another baby at the top. But the African candelabra has refused to grow. It has refused to grow. Look at it. Look at the top. It has refused to grow. Meanwhile, the cochineal cactus is growing marvelously well, babies and grandbabies to boot. So let's talk about the cochineal cactus today. Why don't we? Now, it will surprise you to know that these babies can actually grow on their own if you plant them. So as I was getting this plant from outside to bring it in to talk to you about it, I saw this baby of the cochineal cactus on the floor. And and can you see that it's already growing another baby there? Isn't that wonderful? It's growing another baby nearby. Yeah. So I'm going to plant it in here and I'm going to see how it grows, whether it will grow as big as these other cochineal cacti. I'm going to do that later. So, what do we know about these babies? So pretty. Some people call these parts pads. They call them pads. So some people ask whether the pads can grow even when they're babies. Yes, they can grow even when they're babies. So, since this one has been pinched off from I don't know which of them, I'm going to plant this pad directly into soil of the cochineal cactus and see how it fares. Now, if you want to know what some people call it a prickly pear cactus because it's prickly and it's pear-shaped. Yeah, I guess that's why they call it the prickly pear cactus. You can see the pear-shaped prickly pear cactus, but it's also called the cochineal cactus. I already said that this is the African candelabra cactus. It's different from these other ones, the cochineal cacti. I planted the cochineal cacti when the African candelabra cacti refused to grow, and it is still not growing, but it is still alive, as you can see from this, what I'm showing you here. And so, if you want to know more about the cochineal cactus, you will realize that the cochineal cactus is called what? The Opuntia. Opuntia, is that the name? Opuntia. Cochenillifera. Okay, let me just check this. All right, so this is the cochineal cactus. The cochineal cactus, also known as the Nopalea cochenillifera, the cactus cochenillifer, but the common name is the cochineal cactus. It's also called the velvet Opuntia. The velvet Opuntia. Pretty, right? It's also called what? The woolly joint prickly pear. Woolly, I guess because it has these things that look like wool. The woolly joint prickly pear. The Nopales Opuntia, or the Nopal cactus. Pretty as can be, the Nopal cactus. It is a Cactaceae and it is found in Mexico. So sometimes it's called a Mexican cactus. A Mexican cactus, it's thornless. Is it thornless? Well, I guess, yeah, it's thornless, right? Because it doesn't have thorns, unlike the African candelabra here. The African candelabra has thorns, as you can see. But yeah, actually it does not have thorns. Yeah, the cochineal cactus doesn't have thorns. It just has these woolly things that I thought would end up becoming thorns, but apparently it doesn't become thorny. And you can see from the adult one, from the adult cochineal cactus, that It is actually not thorny. So it's thornless. It has thick leaves. You can say that these are the leaves, right? Thick leaves. Thick leaves. These ones too are already thick. The babies are already thick. And its species name, cochenillifera, it is gotten from the cochineal insects which live on this cactus. Wow. So the cochineal insects live on this cactus. What do they look like? Let's look for them. So the cochineal cactus is named so because it has cochineal insects living on top of them. Now, the bright red body fluids of the insects are the source of that much sought after cochineal dye. But this one, I'm not sure it has a dye, because the cochineal is the name of the crimson or carmine dye, which was, very, very, very popular type of dye. This cactus that you're seeing here is so pretty. It has barbed gloschids, as you can see, they're barbed, the prickly pear cactus. It's evergreen. It can grow bigger than this, as tall as what? 4 to 5 meters tall, with a bole that can be 20 centimeters in diameter. The stems are, as I said, they're spineless. There are no spines. They're spineless, probably because of the result of selective breeding to make the plants easier to harvest. So the plant, this cochineal plant, is harvested from the wild for local use as a food, as a medicine, and also as a source of material. In the past, the plant was often grown as what? As a host plant for the cochineal insects. The cochineal insects are also known as the Dactylopius coccus. These insects were then harvested, killed, and made into the red dye cochineal. But that was in the past. Interesting, right? Synthetic dyes have now almost totally stopped this use of the cochineal insects. Although this plant, the cochineal cactus, is still often cultivated, but only as an ornamental plant, only for beautification purposes in our homes, offices, restaurants, right? So the Opuntia cochenillifera is an extremely widespread and abundant species as a result of introduction and cultivation all over the world. However, the original range of the Opuntia cochenillifera, wow, that name is a mouthful. The original Opuntia cochenillifera is a succulent, it's an evergreen shrub. The wild population is not seen as common as this particular species now, and it is an endangered species because it's not commonly found as it used to be. So this plant, as you can see, has multiple minute barbed gloschids. These are the gloschids. They're barbed, like barbed wire, right? These gloschids, barbed gloschids. These are barbed spines. They are barbed spines. You can see that. They are barbed spines. They are barbed spines that are usually small. They're usually, tiny, but they can actually be sharp and brittle. I guess when they become a bit older, they could become sharp. But for now, they're not. They're brittle. So the gloschids are easily dislodged when the plant is what? When the plant is touched. So these are the gloschids. So they can easily be dislodged, just like how this was dislodged, as you can see. This glochid was dislodged by mistake. And you can see it's already growing a new baby by the side, right? So it's easily dislodged. It was probably maybe somewhere here. So it got easily dislodged and it fell into the soil. I'm going to replant it inside probably another different plant, a different pot, to see how it's going to grow. So the glochids are very easily dislodged when the plant is touched and can penetrate the skin, where because of these barbs that it has, they can become stuck in your skin and they're very difficult to see and to remove. So be careful not to get this stuck into your skin. They can cause irritation, they can cause discomfort in your skin, all right? So this Opuntia cochenillifera, this species can contain quite high levels of oxalic acid. Wow, oxalic acid, and should not be eaten in large amounts since it can lock up other nutrients in the food, especially calcium. Yeah, to form calcium oxalate, right? So that can cause mineral deficiencies if you eat too much of it, because it can chelate with other minerals to form calcium oxalate. Yeah? And so the oxalic acid content of the Cochineal cactus can be reduced if you cook the plant instead. If you cook the plant instead. And people with a tendency to having rheumatism, gouty arthritis, kidney stones, or hyperacidity should consume this Cochineal cactus sparingly, please, especially if this plant is included in their diet, the Cochineal cactus. It can aggravate your gout, it can aggravate your arthritis, it can aggravate your rheumatic arthritis. So be careful when you're consuming the Cochineal cactus. This plant is found in Mexico, Panama, the Caribbean islands, Cuba, Puerto Rico, and of course, northern Nigeria, where I have planted it as an indoor plant in my balcony garden. See my balcony garden here? Let me show you my balcony garden. This is my balcony garden, and this is where the Cochineal cactus, this is where I placed it. I just carried it inside so that I could tell you more about the Cochineal cactus. So do you want to know more about it? Take note that this is the African candelabra. It is not the Cochineal cactus. I planted the Cochineal cacti when this African candelabra cactus refused to grow, and it is still refusing to grow. Maybe it's growing taller anyway, but these ones, the Cochineal cacti, have borne me multiple babies and even grandbabies, as you can see there. So my Cochineal cactus in my northern Nigerian indoor garden. It's a tropical, a tropical plant. It's found in fields, in forests, in sandy soils, and it can go up to as high as, we said, about 2 to 4 meters, right? It's an evergreen shrub, and its pollinators are the bees. It can be ornamental, meaning that you can use this plant to beautify your office, your balcony garden, your parlor. Doesn't it look so pretty in this parlor? Not to talk of my balcony garden outside. It is pretty. It can be a wild plant as well. But it is a plant of arid and semi-arid areas in the tropics and subtropics. It can be found in elevations as high as 1,500 meters, even sometimes higher. It requires sun, although mine is not growing in a very sunny area because it's in my indoor balcony garden. It doesn't have to be taken care of all the time. It thrives on neglect. The plant can tolerate almost any conditions, so long as the soil is well drained. And sometimes, if they're quite mature, they can be drought tolerant. You can see this sand, this soil. I have some manure inside. It's quite, it's quite well drained. It's quite well drained soil, right? Yeah, so that's why it's doing so well in this pot and in my balcony garden. The Opuntia cochenillifera. Yeah, some species sometimes, this species is sometimes classified as the Nopalea cochenillifera. It's a succulent, it's pretty, it's an ornamental plant. You can use it to beautify your environment. And yes, people actually eat it. Its fruits are edible. Can you believe that this cactus, the cochineal cactus, you can actually eat it? Wow, you can actually eat the cochineal cactus. The fruits are edible and it has a sweet flavor. And the fruit is it's red, it's ellipsoid, it's about 3 to 5 cm long by 2.5 to 3 cm wide. And the young flattened stems, these young flattened stems, wow, these young flattened stems are cooked and eaten, wow, as a vegetable. Interesting. A traditional method of cooking is first to boil the stem, then strip off the outer skin. Wow, this young stem here that you're seeing. Strip off the outer skin and the spines as well. So if you remove the spines, then you can fry them in oil with onions and chilies, and then you can season them with salt and pepper. Wow. Isn't that interesting? With salt and pepper, making a slimy, acid-tasting, palatable green. Wow. So you can actually use this stem as a vegetable, as a stir fry. Isn't that interesting? And I'm sure it's going to be very healthy as well. And the fruits of the cochineal cactus can applied in folk medicine. This same flattened stem that you're seeing of the cochineal cactus can be used as poultices to treat a range of conditions like fungal skin infections, fevers, rheumatic arthritis, erysipelas, ophthalmia, earache. Wow, you can use it to treat earache and toothache. And the roasted branches, these roasted branches, if you roast them, of the cochineal cactus, it can help to treat, pain, swelling, and burning sensation from worm infestations like filarial worm disease. Wow, interesting. If you grate this same stem of the cochineal cactus, if you grate it and you mix it with cornmeal and soft grease, it is warmed for an external application to relieve heavy chests, colds, and fever associated with pneumonia. Wow. The pads are warmed and placed on the forehead as a refresher. Wow, beautiful. And the sap of this cochineal cactus, that whitish material that comes out of this cactus, that's the sap, right? The sap of the cochineal cactus. The sap of the cochineal cactus is used in the treatment of babies' colds and even wheezing. Wow. In folk medicine. Interesting. The leaves are also used in the treatment of spleen problems. So just check out all the medicinal uses of the cochineal cactus. So interesting, right? A beautiful ornamental plant, yet it has so many medicinal uses. Pretty as can be. And the leaves, I said, are used in the treatment of spleen disorders. And so, the fiber that's found in the flowers and the stem segments have been shown to help control blood sugar levels associated with adult onset diabetes. There is also clinical evidence that the soluble fiber in the stem segments helps to reduce blood cholesterol levels. Wow. So it's an important hedge plant. Yeah, because we see it in hedges, right? Sometimes we see the cochineal cactus in hedges and it looks really pretty. So it's used as a hedge plant in arid areas. And sometimes these same stems can be used as a shampoo for fine, delicate hairs. Wow. The extracts of the flowers and the fruits are used as ingredients in commercial cosmetic preparations as skin conditioners. Wow, that's interesting. And the wood of the cochineal cactus has been used to make furniture. So how do you propagate the cochineal cactus? How do you propagate it? The cochineal cactus is easily propagated, and the tiniest bit of leaf will take root almost anywhere. You can see how this tiny branch by the side took a branch. Yep. Is that you? Yes. Later. All right, so just a little distraction. So we're talking about the cochineal cactus. The cochineal cactus in my indoor garden, as you can see, pretty as can be, together with the candelabra, the African candelabra, inside my pot. So let's talk more about how to propagate it. So I told you I'm going to propagate it. I'm going to propagate this because this just fell out of the pot. You can see this one is already being propagated by itself from the side. So if I plant this inside this soil, it's gonna what? Yeah, it's gonna grow. But I'm thinking, should I plant it elsewhere or should I put it in the same pot? I think I'll put it in a different pot to propagate this cochineal cactus. So you can propagate it from seed and from the tiniest bit of leaf. It will take root almost anywhere. This was on the floor inside soil, and you can see it took root, it's growing, it's doing so beautifully well. So it's a tropical plant, and there's so many things that we don't know about the things that we have in our gardens. The velvet Opuntia, right? The velvet Opuntia. From the what? From the Cactaceae, the Mexican cactus. Initially, the bright red fluids of the insect, the cochineal insect, which used to live on this cactus, was used as a dye in those times. And that is why it was named the cochineal cactus. But now the insects that live on this cactus, we don't use them anymore for the dye because now we create, our own sorts of red dyes from synthetic products. And so we don't need to use the insects anymore to create dyes from this cochineal insects. The bright red fluids of the insects were the source of the much sought after cochineal dye. And cochineal is the name of the crimson or carmine dye, once a major industry in the dyeing family in those days. Wow. Pretty ornamental plant that you can have anywhere, in your restaurants, in your homes, in your indoor garden, just like mine in northern Nigeria. Pretty as can be, and you'll be surprised that many of us don't know much about this pretty plant. Now, if you want to know more about the Opuntia cochenillifera, the velvet prickly pear, the velvet Nopal cactus, the prickly pear cactus, I will tell you more about it. It's edible. I've already talked about it being used as a stir fry. Many medicinal properties. People that have diabetes, they eat it regularly as a vegetable in their what? In their garden. Yeah, in their diet. They claim that diabetes can sometimes be reduced or even removed if they eat this vegetable called the cochineal cactus. They stir fry these young stems. With a little bit of oil with sauteed vegetables and add some onions and garlic. The prickly pear, it is the fastest growing desert plant with showy bright red flowers. Pretty. It's drought tolerant, but also doesn't mind Florida rains. It doesn't mind it. It will grow in neglect and in pretty much any condition. It's perfect for your landscaping. And I'm looking forward to having this prickly pear cactus as what? As a hedge for my home. Yeah, pretty. It can easily grow. It's an edible plant. It can grow as a large shrub up to like 5 to 10 feet tall. You can see how it's having its, this is the mom. That's the mom down there. That's the baby. And the baby just had another baby. And you best believe that this one on top is another new baby that's going to grow. Yeah. So mother, daughter, baby, and soon another baby from this top. Really interesting, right? It can grow as up to like 5 to 10 feet tall, and it's best in full sun to partial shade. Mine is in partial shade in my balcony garden, and it's doing fantastically well. It tolerates light freezing to about 30 degrees Fahrenheit for short periods. That is for the mature plants, and the young plants must be protected. So these young plants are actually protected in my indoor balcony garden. They're doing very well because they're not in the full sunlight. So the young stems are protected from the sun. I usually water it maybe like twice in a week, sometimes not even up to twice a week. And the flowers, so that's just like about just moderate watering light, right? The flowers are red or crimson. They have vinous flowers. And so, yeah, in the backyard, in the pots, growing indoors, it's a fantastic plant. I would recommend it for anyone who's a plant lover. The Opuntia, the Cochineal Cactus, grows as a succulent. It's pretty. It has these barbed, wire-like areas. So we talked about the fruits. We talked a bit about it being used for colds and wheezing for babies. It has fiber in the flowers and stems, which has been shown to be good in controlling diabetes mellitus. You can use this flattened stem as an ingredient for what? Wow. For your shampoo. It's used for fevers. It's used in diabetes. And the extracts of the flowers and the fruits can be used as ingredients in commercial cosmetic preparations like skin conditioners, and the wood has been found to be good for furniture. It's a beautiful tropical plant. And the Opuntia cochenillifera is a species of cactus in the subfamily, In the subfamily of Opuntioideae. It may have been endemic to Mexico, but has been widely introduced, and so you see it in many other areas, just like in my northern Nigerian balcony garden. The first description of the Cochineal cactus was by Carl Linnaeus in 1753. Wow. In 1753, it was described, the Cochineal cactus was described in 1753 by Carl Linnaeus as Cactus cochenillifer. Philip Miller is said to have renamed it as the Opuntia cochenillifera in 1768. Wow. So the Opuntia cochenillifera, pretty, the kingdom of Plantae. It's a tracheophyte, an angiosperm, it's a eudicot, it's a caryophyllalis from the family of Cactaceae. The genus is the Opuntia, and the species is the Opuntia cochenillifera. Pretty as can be, pretty as can be. The binomial name is the Opuntia cochenillifera, and it's also known as what? the Opuntia nuda, the Nopalea nuda, the Nopalea cochenillifera, the Cactus cochenilliferus, the Cactus cochenillifer, the Cactus cochenillifer. Interesting. Interesting. Beautiful ornamental plant. And unlike most Opuntia species, the Opuntia cochenillifera is pollinated by the hummingbirds. Wow, the hummingbirds. The flowers are crimson-like, or reddish, and very, very pretty. This beautiful ornamental plant is really, really a sight for sore eyes. The Opuntia cochenillifera, seen in many gardens in Africa, seen in my indoor garden in northern Nigeria, together with its brother, the African candelabra plant. You can see it alone here, sitting alone, feeling sad, but yet it's thriving. It's found in northern Nigeria, and northern Nigeria is in the region of West Africa. And from the family of so it's a cactus, it's shrubby, it's, arborescent. It can grow, as I said, up to 4 meters tall, with cylindrical or pear-like jointed trunks. So you can see they're joined together, jointed trunks, up to 20 centimeters thick sometimes. Wow, this is not that thick, but it can grow up to 20 centimeters thick. The trunks can grow up to 20 centimeters thick, and branches of flattened elliptic or narrowly elliptic joints. You can see these elliptic joints, the narrow elliptic joints. Glochids, brown deciduous spines. Sometimes those spines develop on the older joints. Yeah, you can see this is an older joint. The older joint, the leaves subulate. They're 3 millimeters long. They're deciduous. The spines are usually not there. You can see these ones have no spines. There are no spines. It's only these ones that have some prickly things here, which are not even too prickly. And they're broad. You can see the leaves are broad and flattened. Yeah, they're deciduous. They have flowers, as I said before. They have red fruits that are about 5 cm long. They're seen in tropical countries, just like northern Nigeria. It's widely cultivated. It has an altitude range of about 520 meters. And these detached stem segments, like this one that fell out, this detached stem segment can root easily and propagate easily. So I'm going to plant this detached stem in a different pot and see how it's going to grow. And I'm going to show you in a different video this detached segment of the cochineal cactus. I'm going to replant it, transplant it elsewhere, and I'll show you how it fares. I'm sure it's going to do quite well. And it's more common to propagate this cochineal cactus by planting the stem rather than growing it from seed. So I'm going to try that and see how it fares, because it's so fast growing. This is barely 9 months old, and you can see all the babies and grandbabies it has given birth to. Pretty and tall, ornamental, beautiful to look at. So let us see how it's gonna fare, right? The cochineal cactus, a sight to behold. Together, living with my African candelabra here, which is living alone, not growing yet, but I think it's growing taller. I don't know. So this came before I got these cochineal cacti, and you can see they have become taller than the African candelabra cactus. So this prickly pear cactus, Opuntia cochenillifera, or Opuntia ficus-indica. So some people call it what? Opuntia ficus ficus-indica, Opuntia ficus-indica. So yeah, the prickly pear cacti, they're known for their flat pad-like segments called cladodes. So these are the cladodes, the cladodes, the cladodes, the cladodes, the cladodes. The species Opuntia ficus-indica is a multi-purpose crop. We've talked so much about it. It's a multi-purpose crop and a valuable source of water and forage for livestock in dry areas. This plant, seen in my northern Nigerian balcony garden, is native to Mexico and is widely distributed in the warmer regions of the world. The pads, these pads are also known as what? Nopales. They're edible, as I said before, they're edible, and they have several health benefits that we have talked about. So, it's leaning because, it's a bit too long. So sometimes you can have the prickly pear cactus leaning because it's, it's quite long, because it's like one on top of the other, another one on top of the other. Sometimes you can have some whitish spots. It's a beautiful, leaning, thinning Texas plant seen in northern Nigeria. It's a cactus. Its spines are not prickly like that as other cacti, and it grows so tall, it grows so fast compared to the other cacti that we have. Of course, you can't compare the growth of the Cochineal cactus to the growth of the African candelabra cactus, because it is just too marvelous. Look at how tall it has become, overshadowing the African candelabra completely. So as I said before, we're going to plant this. We're going to plant this stem that has fallen off probably one of the parts of the stem. We're going to see and follow up and see how it grows. So the Opuntia, the prickly pear cactus, a genus of the flowering plants in the cactus family. Opuntia ficus-indica, the prickly pear cactus, the Opuntia, the flat cacti. So many names, right? But they all mean the same thing, the Cochineal cactus. So let me just go and see if I can get a spade to plant this stem somewhere. I'll just get that spade. Oh, there's one here. Let me just get the spade and plant that Cochineal cactus. Now, where's my spade? Okay. So let me look for the spade, okay? Oh, we need a spade, I guess. Let's get that. Okay. So I think I will just, I can just use my finger, right? Oh, look at the spade there. You've seen it. Okay. So, let's see where we can plant this Cochineal cactus. Oh. No. Cochineal cactus. So I don't really have any empty pots. I don't have any empty pots, as you can see, but I could improvise, I guess. This is aloe vera. Should I put it here? Yeah, I think it could do well here. Although, I should just plant it in the same. No, I'll plant it in a different pot. So let's see. I think I'll put it here. So let's see how it fares. Okay. Plant it there. My Cochineal Cactus. Let's see whether you'll survive elsewhere, apart from your pots that you used to be in. So this used to be in this pot. It broke off from one of these parts of the leaves. So let me plant it elsewhere and see how it's going to grow. I found it doing very, very well where it fell off. I found it here. I found it here like this, buried. And it was growing fine, like this. Isn't that wonderful? So let's see how it grows if I put it in a new habitat. Okay. So let's see. Hope it's not too deep. Okay. So let's see. Let's see how it fares. Let's see how it fares. Let's see how it fares. Okay, you guys get some water. And put that in. Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's get some water. See how it fares. So let's see how it fares, right? Yeah. The Cochineal Cactus, the pretty ornamental plant. I'm going to take her outside now. So she's been living very well with African candelabra, the Cochineal Cactus, and I will place it back outside where it was before now. Okay? Yeah. Yep, let me just answer this call. Yeah. Hello? Not yet. You guys are going now, what? A1. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, bye. All right, so time to take you outside. Back where you were. Okay, let me just take back this cup. Back to the kitchen. And I'll take it. Let's close the store. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Why is it saying that? 31.